back. We are finally back. And yes, hello and welcome to this Manchester United preview show. I have not done one of these since December 2023, but this is the first one of 2024. Happy New Year. As we are back here for another Manchester United preview show, as today we will be talking about the UEFA Europa League and the first game that Manchester United play in the Europa League, which is against FC Twente. Don't know about them? Well, I'll tell you more about them later in this video. That is what a preview show is all about, previewing the team and previewing what I think the score will be and how I think Manchester United will set up prior to this game against FC Twente. But while I'm here, let me tell you a quick debrief on what all of this league system is. Obviously, this league system, it's got a bit to get used to, and the Europa League is the same as the Champions League, which is a bit of a... It's a bit better to explain rather than the Conference League. The Conference League's a whole kettle of fish, whole kettle of ball game. But while I'm here, let's get underway, and let me tell you how the UEFA Europa League is going to be ran for this season. So first of all, this is how this new league system will be. So for the Champions League, Europa League and the Conference League, there will be 36 teams in that league. That will mean, well, scrap the group stage. The group stage has been scrapped. Now, it's a league system of 36 teams that will be competing to see who will go through to the knockout stages. And with the Europa League, it is similar to the UEFA Champions League, like I said before, how it's 8 games per team, 8 different opponents. So it's not like the three teams that we had last season. This season, it will be different, where it will be 8 completely different sides in the UEFA Europa League, which for Manchester United and myself is probably better, because then we play 8 completely different sides. So these are 8 completely different sides that I will have to talk about in my specific preview shows. But let's also talk about the knockout phase, so how the knockout rounds are going to work. So in the league system, if you do finish between 1st or 8th place, you go directly through to the round of 16. So this is where I am thinking Manchester United should be. Manchester United should be in one of these 1 to 8 positions in the Europa League. If we're not, then that is slightly worrying. But 1 to 8 is a direct route to the last 16, which does mean 9 to 24 is a knockout playoff. So basically, if you do finish 11th, and if the team that you're facing finishes 21st, you could face that team in a knockout playoff round, which seems good for the viewers. For the player, I bet it's absolutely knackering. But for the viewers, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. And I mean, the fact that you have to go through this by order to get into the last 16 doesn't really make much sense, but it will work in the long run. I'm pretty much sure, which does mean this is the match calendar, which you can see from here shows when the final will be. The final will be playing on May, which, well, is usually the case. I mean, it might not be usually for the Europa League, but this is going to be the case there for the 2024-27 season. So the Champions League has already started match day 1. Match day 1 of the UEFA Europa League will start this week with, obviously, United facing Twente. The Europa Conference League will be played on the match day 1. And the reason why that you do see there, you've got like blue and green there in the first little bit, there, and there, is because that is when no European competition is going to be played then. So you've obviously had the Champions League, match 1, none of the other European competitions have played. Europa League, match day 1, none of the other European competitions have played. So basically it's an extra day. Champions League, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday last week. Europa League, it's Wednesday and Thursday. Manchester United do play on a Wednesday. And then in the Europa Conference League, there is match day 6. That is when they will be playing Wednesday and Thursday of Europa Conference League action. It sounds confusing, but you will get used to it, I'm pretty sure. So the calendar does end on January. February is when the knockout stages are played. Then you've got the last 16s, quarterfinals, and then the semi-final and the final in May. So this is how the UEFA procedure is going to be taking place. And this is when, basically, the European competitions are going to be played throughout this year. Now, forget all that. Let's talk about the main game. Manchester United versus FC Twente. So here it is, the first match day back in the Europa League. Boo. I know It has been 2 years since I last did a video on the UEFA Europa League, but well, we are here. Manchester United are back in the Europa League, and I'm actually glad that we are back in the Europa League, because I might have not even been doing this based on how bad we were last season. But because of that FA Cup win against Manchester City, that has made us go into the UEFA Europa League, which I am certainly glad about, because if we lost against City, no European football. Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, no European football. That is an absolute joke. But somehow Erik Ten Hag has managed his way to win that game and take us into the UEFA Europa League. Now, the Europa League, if I'm honest, I'm used to it by now. I'm not even bothered about being in the Europa League. I am used to being in the Europa League. The Europa League is a competition that, well, I have watched Manchester United more in the Europa League than I have the Champions League, which I know is quite sad to say, but it is the truth, based on how we've had good seasons and bad seasons. It's a mix in between. When United are in Champions League, next season you're in the Europa League. When you're in the Europa League, next season you'll get Champions League. That's how it goes. So, this is our turn now to be in the Europa League, which I know for some fans will be a shame, but it is what it is. It is what it is, Manchester United in the Europa League. And we are playing a side that, well, did very well in the Eredivisie. They finished third in the Eredivisie last year. Because of that, they went through to the UEFA Champions League, where they did end up playing against RB Salzburg. I mean, unfortunately, there for Twente, they did lose to Pep Linder's men, who eventually went on to Glabber space in the Champions League phase. But the fact that Twente have got there is a massive, massive thing for them. I mean, prior to, obviously, this run, Twente haven't been in the Europa League since 2012, which, that is big. That says a lot, really. That says a lot, that the last time Twente were in Europe was in 2012. Fast forward 12 years later, they are back in Europe, this time back in the Europa League, and the first game they were at Old Trafford. I mean, that for them, they couldn't wish for anything better, Twente. They couldn't wish for anything better, really. The fact that they have a game at Old Trafford. So, I'm sure they will bring some fans, and I'm sure Twente will make their noise being heard. I mean, this is the first time that Twente are going to be broadcasted around the world, because every Manchester United game is broadcasted around the world. Now, if it's Twente v Manchester United, I don't think Twente will realise how this is going to benefit their club, because in financial-wise, it's going to benefit their club massively, because they know they're playing against Manchester United. So, even for that is massive for FC Twente. This game at Old Trafford. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's the first game in the Europa League, so anything can really happen. So it's that time of year again. It comes to the fact file, and this time it goes for FC Twente, who are from the country of the Netherlands. The Netherlands, obviously, as we can see with the flag right there. The honours list, they have won one Eredivisie, and funnily enough, that was under our former assistant manager Steve McLaren in 2009-2010, which was Twente's first ever league title. That's why it says on the honours list they have only won one Eredivisie, and it was that. I mean, you've got the likes of Feyenoord, Ajax, PSV, but you've got Twente, which, well, caused an upset, really, in the world of Dutch football. Because, I mean, Twente, they're probably the next big ones. They're like, I don't really know how to say, they're probably like the Leeds United of England, let's say. How they're a big club, but they're not big comparing to the clubs of Ajax, PSV, and Ajax, PSV, and Feyenoord. Nowhere near as big as them. So they're probably like that, I'd say, like fan base, maybe Leeds, probably Newcastle, more realistic. 2 times Johan Cruyff Shield they did win. They did also win the KVNB Cup, which is basically the Dutch equivalent to the FA Cup. The nickname, funnily enough, I did notice this. They have English as the nicknames, which I think is very strange, but, you know, that's what it is. So they are referred to the Tuckers, or they are simply referred to the Reds, obviously according to their club colours, which is the Reds. The manager there of FC Twente is Josef Oosting, who did used to manage RCC Vaflik, I believe. I might have got the first bit wrong, but I do know he managed Vaflik. And he also managed the Vitesse Young side, which, well, Vitesse are now in the Championship after they did get a 12-point deduction later on in the season. The best player there for Twente, I'm going to say, is Sem Stein, just because He's had 20 goal involvement in 34 games and already is bursting onto the sea. He's a key part there in how Twente play. And he will probably be the danger man, Sim Stein, when it comes to, well, Twente playing at Old Trafford. If there's one player Manchester United have to watch, it's Sim Stein. Now, the stadium, I know a lot of beer lovers will love this stadium. It's the Roche Vista, which is, well, the name Roche is a beer company in where they are based in Enschede. So, yeah, a little beer fact for you. I know I don't usually talk about beer, but you know, that's a cheeky little beer fact for you. The fact that Twente's stadium, the Roche Vista, is located, well, in Enschede, which is where they have the beer company of Roche. So I found that quite interesting fact, and I mean, it might be for a lot of people, but that's my interesting fact of the day. And Enschede, as I did mention before, is only 10 miles off the German border. So you'll be speaking from Dutch to German, which doesn't seem like a contrast, but I bet it will be there for the Dutch people. Hallo, ik heiße Jacob. Ich heiße Radio Rambo. That is, well, what I would say. My name is Radio Rambo. The capacity there of the stadium is 30,205. So it's a big stadium. It's a big stadium, don't get me wrong. And for me, it has comparisons to probably either Valley Parade, Kaiserslautern Stadium, and a little bit of Old Trafford. It's got 3 stands. It's got 3 big stands, but it's got 1 little stand. It probably reminds me more of Old Trafford or Celtic Park. How it's got 3 stands, but yet it's got 1 smaller one, which you can see there. It's got a smaller stand, but yet all the other 3 are big stands. So, yeah, that is the stadium. I'm glad we're not playing there, because I tell you, we'd probably lose. What doesn't help though with Twente is they come on to You Never Walk Alone, which, as a Manchester United fan, yeah, I mean, it's good for Liverpool, but I'm a Manchester United fan. I can't really comment on that song. But all I do know is, well, expect a few boos at Old Trafford, Twente, because there will probably be some if you do end up singing with your flags up saying You Never Walk Alone. Twente do actually have a lot of English chants, like We Love You Twente, we do, oh Twente, we love you, which I know is obviously sung for a lot of English teams. So Twente might have more English chants comparing to, well, the use of Dutch and potentially the use of German. I do know Ajax do sing their songs mostly in Dutch instead of when they sing Three Little Birds. But, yeah, that's all I know. And that is a quick little fact file. Well, maybe not quick, but this is my fact file on the team that Manchester United will be facing against in the Europa League Matchday 1, FC Twente. So this right here is what I think the lineup should be for the game against FC Twente. And I know this seems like a bit of a mess, but you will understand it gradually. And actually, I will show you another picture which will understand it a little bit more. So, I'm going to say Andre Onana will be in goal. I know people could say Altabayinde could get a chance, but I think just for the first game, Ten Hag will probably stay safe and go for Andre Onana. The back 4, I think he's going to be Mazraoui, Maguire, De Ligt and Dalot. De Ligt, I think, will play. I'm going to say Harry Maguire will come in instead of Lisandro Martinez, just because, well, I think they want to try and make Martinez fit for the game against Spurs, so that's why I think Harry Maguire will come in as a bit of rotationary player. So Maguire and De Ligt, I think, will do there, with Noussair Mazraoui and Diogo Dalot there on the fullbacks. Then, I think Casemiro will play. Toby Collier could be a shout to play, but I do think Casemiro will be fine against Twente, alongside Christian Eriksen. Now, Eriksen, again, same as Casemiro. I think he'll do well against Southampton. But Eriksen, he was pivotal, actually, against Palace. He was a very good player in the game against Palace that we did draw 0-0. Now, for me, Rashford, Fernandes and Xerxes could either go for maybe a 4-2-3-1 formation, or you could either go for maybe your average 4-2. You could go for your average 4-3-3. I'm going to say it will be like this. I do think Rashford and Fernandes should be like that. I think Xerxes should be more of a centre forward rather than a striker. That's why I'm going to say Rasmus Højlund should start this game. I think Højlund has the capability to score, and we needed a goal scorer against Palace. That didn't work. Joshua Xerxes didn't work. So I think putting Xerxes alongside Højlund will do the job. Or, as I've done on my other formation, Xerxes could play on the wing. Zirkzee could play maybe on the left or right ring with Rashford, and then Bruno Fernandes as the attacking midfielder. Either way, it's very interesting, but I do think this should be the starting 11 that Ten Hag uses for the game against FC Twente. So then, what do I think the score will be? I do think it will be a very entertaining game, specifically there for Manchester United. I think for Twente, this will be a bit of a coming into, you get what I mean? Because, well, they haven't been in the Europe for 12 years. I think going to Manchester United will be a test for them. I think it will be a test. Granted, other sides have well benefited from that. I'm not sure Twente will do. I think Twente have to score to then make it a game, and I don't think they will. That is why I'm going to go for a comfortable 3-0 win to Manchester United. I just think at home at Old Trafford, European atmosphere back again, I do think we will play well. And I do. I can see us playing very, very well. Far better than we did against Palace. And I can see us scoring goals. I can see us defending well. And yeah, I think all that Twente should wish for is a goal, in my opinion. That is why I'm going to say it'll be a 3-0 Manchester United win. Get the job done. Get the 3 points done. Hopefully stay in the top 8. So just like that then, I will get going. So if you did like that, if you do say something you really mean a lot to me, but you don't have to, as I shall go. See you soon. Stay safe. Talking to you a lot then in the next one. See ya and bye-bye.